So my name is George Arabbu. I'm an architect. That's what I do for a living. I run a small practice called Sitescape Studio. We have a studio in Nairobi, and my colleague partner is based in Mombasa. He's running a small studio there as well. Yes, so I have a son, yes. He's turning 6 in November 30th. He's in preschool, almost done, and that's also part of my big job. For me, it's just as big as my office, probably bigger. Yeah, because it's as they say, ni kujitakia, because I got into it, and I also decided to stay with him at some point, so it became heavy, but we are managing one day at a time. Okay, one, it was unexpected. It's just that way. I mean, it's a lovely thing to have a child, but a lot of times when you begin it, it's almost like by chance. Just the same way they say their children is like God's gift to us, so you're not very sure that you can't really plan for it, I know, but in my case it was almost completely unplanned for. It just happened. So I'd moved to Mombasa to work. I actually stayed there for 2 years. 2010. So I met someone, and we started dating, and we were going out for the 2 years out there, and then she became pregnant, or should I say we became pregnant, and then we had to make everything official. So we were excited. I mean, we came up with names. In my mind, I thought it was a girl, so I kept having dreams of a little girl running around the house, and she used to think it was a boy. I think it was the baby was due in December. I think it was December. That was what we were expecting. But then November, towards the end of November, there was, I remember it was at night, she complained she was bleeding. So we could have been going to family health. This is at near Timor. Then she actually woke me up, said she's bleeding, so we went to hospital. I just drove her, she was fine. And then I don't know what happened. I can't remember. On that particular night, the guy said, "Okay, you leave her here. We'll monitor her." Yeah. So I mean, there was nothing, no, other than the fact that it was bleeding. And remember, it had happened before, at about 3 months. So I didn't see anything so big. I was not concerned at that moment. Then the following day, I went to the hospital. They have some award there. So they told me they had to operate her. So I was shocked. But they said she was okay, and she consented. I think also maybe she was a little bit like, she didn't want to, I don't know, maybe alarm me, not telling me, because it was late. I dropped her, I came to the house, I slept. In the morning, I go there, I'm told the bleeding, we could not control the bleeding, it became worse, we had to operate her. So she was in the theater. And then, from there on, I think things now started escalating. Because there was a problem, they couldn't stop the bleeding. And then that evening, we transferred that. Okay, they proposed that we transfer to Kenyatta because they would be able to monitor her better there. Some of this, I don't know. Thinking about it back, I think maybe they were trying to get a route. The funny thing is about these things, sometimes it's not like something you expect, so it's completely not in your mind, like this is going to happen. You're so sure it's not going to happen, or you don't even think about it, so there's nothing like whether you're sure or not. The day she was going to the operation, she only called her mom. She made a call to her mom because she knew I would be there in the morning. So her mom had come, so we had gone to see her at the hospital. And then we stayed there till late. She was not well at all. By the time we got out of the ward, she was struggling to be awake. So the following day, her mom told me to go and check on her how she spent the night. So I woke up in the morning. First thing I left, I went to the hospital, completely oblivious of what was waiting for me. So I walked into the ward. I think there were a group of students doing rounds. The previous day, I was one of the last person to leave, and I remember speaking to one of the doctors. I think it must have been a student or maybe someone. It was a young lady, and she just sounded like she was doing the usual, PR, like talking nicely, telling me everything's fine. She's fine. Everything's under control. You can go home. She'll be fine. So then when I come this day, I see this group of doctors doing rounds in the hospital. I walked straight to them because I knew where she was. So I walked straight, and as I was walking, this group of people are in front of me, and then they're all looking at me. So I'm looking. I don't know whether they're looking at me like I'm weird or something. And then I'm stopped. So I'm stopped, and then I'm told. So I told her, I'm coming to see my patient. They're here. They're telling, no, you go and sit there. So I went and sat down. Yeah. Then this doctor comes. I don't know, there's a doctor or a nurse. She comes, tells me, we need to talk. In the movies when people are called, come, let's talk. And something is bad. Yeah. The funny thing is, at that moment, I still don't realize what's going on. When we go in, that's when she starts telling me what happened. The whole time, I still don't realize what's going on. She's explaining. I remember her saying something, then we lost her. Then I asked her, okay, and then, so I'm still not getting the whole. So I guess sometimes when you don't expect something, it's almost like all of a sudden you just get slapped by a very, bad situation. All of a sudden it's a little bit too much. That's when later on, of course, I had to call the necessary people, and then at that moment, I also started thinking about him, because remember the whole time he's in a incubator at Family Health. And then that's when after we came out, I think it was either that day or the following day is when we picked him up. Anyway, after that, after the funeral, those are small, of course, her mom, my mother-in-law, had already made, she knew she was taking the baby. Yeah. After all, we were staying alone. There was no house help, just the two of us. And it was obvious, how would you take care of the baby? So there was a little bit of a commotion. And unfortunately, in my mind, I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about, okay, now you can take the baby out. I knew, I didn't have a plan. I didn't say that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But in my mind, what is clear is that we are home, the baby is at home. After that, we'll know how to deal with it. So we talked. I told them no, and they were not happy. But one of my wife's cousin lives in Rongai. She's a mother. At that time, she had 2 kids. One was just over a year old, and then the other one was maybe 4 or 5. So she offered to, the compromise, actually it wasn't really an offer. The compromise was that, because she was the one who was carrying the baby the whole time, actually, even from the incubator. When we got out, she was the one who was carrying him. So the compromise was she would take him, to take care, to look after him, because then I would have to jipanga, because who will take care of him? How will I stop working? And besides, he's only like 3 days, 4 days old. So he took her, stayed with him for, he took him for 6 months. 6 months. His first 6 months he was staying there. That time I was living in Langata. I was working in an office in Karen. So what was happening is I had to leave. I was leaving there. Every time I'm leaving the office, I was passing Rongai and then coming to my house. So this is like 5. I go there. I hang around there for like 1 hour. I take anything like supplies, whatever you wanted. Mostly at that moment it was just formula and diapers. That was the biggest ever expense. Yes, I was like, Allah, you buy this one formula and you're thinking it will last a week. It's done in a matter of days, like 2 days, and then and you're thinking, wow. Then diapers, so which means of course he's eating a lot, he's pooping a lot and all these things. So, but for me also going there was an issue of trying to connect. It was very important for me to just connect. I didn't want to just stay somewhere and keep sending. And in fact, one of the reasons why I was not very comfortable with him being taken by my mother-in-law was because you'll have to take her. At that time they were living in Mombasa. They were flying between Mombasa and Taita. So I mean, it will be almost impossible for me to make those quick visits. So it was tough, because you can imagine you're coming from job, you're tired, you go to Rongai. Rongai is also a jam in and out. And then it's like a rainy season, and you get stuck in jam late at night. Coming to the house, you're so tired. And then you are alone in the house. It was quite a scary time, because I was also feeling that I'm very, maybe I'm incompetent in terms of taking care of people. But after 6 months, I got tired of going to Rongai, buying formula every other time, and I'm thinking, so I got a house help, and I moved here, and I brought him in. I wanted to do it, and every time I kept reminding myself it's like my responsibility. I felt like it was me to take care of him. So I was up for the challenge. It doesn't mean it was any easy, because first of all, I had to quit one of the reasons why I quit employment is because my job is a little bit tricky in terms of working hours. There's the official contract hours, but most of the time you get to the office maybe very early and leave very late. In fact, at some point, by the time I was leaving the employment, I could only come to the house. I could only see him over the weekend, because weekday I would leave before he wakes up. I would come back when he's asleep daily, and then he's just in the house with the nanny. And me, I was thinking maybe at the end of the day you might just think the nanny is the mom, and that's it. You might never even know me. So the whole idea of bringing him to the house would have been not that useful in the sense of me being a parent. So one of the adjustments, of course, if you put it that way, was I quit. I told my boss I have to go home and take care of my son, and he was okay with it. He actually kept me on the payroll for a year, so I was working from home, and it was a little bit, it was tricky, because when he's awake, when he was a little, at that age, when he's starting to move around, starting to do things, he's trying to keep up with that, keeping it, you don't miss anything. You're taking millions of photos, and you're waiting to see him say something. So there's a lot of juggling between work and him. At about 1 year, I think it was in 1 year, I was able to send him with the nanny to his grandmother. Yeah, one of the first time when he went for like they were there for about a month, and she was happy. I mean, initially she thought I was trying to cut her off, but she was happy, and he came back. I remember the first day I was going to pick him. They had gone by bus, so I was picking him from the stage, and he was very excited. The way you've not stayed away with him, so obviously you don't know. It's almost like the start separation. I remember he saw me from a distance. He couldn't. This guy who's not even, even walking, he's struggling at that point. So he was very excited. It was quite nice. That he remembered me even after the break. And then there's also a couple friend of mine who have 3 kids already, older than him, and they're also very helpful in terms of, really taking care of this guy has not been, I can't say it's me. So they've been very useful. Like occasionally he would go for sleepovers when he was slightly over a year. They would treat him like their last born, so even a lot of guys thought it was their kid. So they would sleep there. In fact, I can say even learning to talk. It's because he was in that house. There were 3 small kids. And they were all making noise and talking, so he learned to talk there. Interestingly, we don't talk much. There's a pencil sketch there of his mom. One of my friends did for the funeral. Kept talking about things about, family. When they're in school, he's being told about what a family is. One point he was asking me whether we're ever going to be a family, because he's trying to look, where is the father, where is this father, where is the mother, where is the brother or sister, and where is the baby? Because that's what they teach in school: mother, father, brother, sister, baby. It's interesting in terms of whether I can offer advice, because I don't know whether it's the right thing I'm doing. I think you can only know when the result, you can see that he's all right. You make sure things like immunization, you make sure he gets all the immunizations, visit the doctors, the right kind of food. If you are not very healthy person, you don't eat well, you just have to be conscious enough. But at the same time, for most fathers, maybe the only thing I can tell them is that it is not it's not magic. There is no formula. You just need to do the basics, and you also need to consult. You need to talk to people. You need to have a lot of people visiting, particularly relatives. Have a lot of if you have aunts, sisters who are older, or your mother, people who are able to tell you things like, hey, this guy, you need to do this, or have you done this, he's a boy, the way we say, don't wrap him up, with the whole time. Even a woman, for the first baby, it's the same situation, because she will not know things just because she's a woman. And for the man, the difficult part is that you have a lot of other things to do. So I had to stop a lot of things, particularly which meant that I had to stay away from the house. I couldn't just go out, go for a drink or go to meet my pals and then chat. or sometimes you're just outside there and you're having a good time with people, but the first in your mind you're thinking, what about this guy? Is he having a good time? Has he eaten? Is there food in the house? Because now you have to think of those things. And once you do, you just have to be there. I think the most important thing would be being there for him, because if you are there, if there's something wrong, you will notice it, and then you will be able to take care of the situation. But if you are not there, if you're coming and you're being told things, so I think that might be my only advice. Just be there.